All right, g'day and welcome. See how much memory I've got left on this thing, and see if my battery's gonna conk out on me. Should you buy a regular cab truck? Pros and cons. Well, I think the pros and cons are pretty obvious. If you're a family guy who has a wife and kids and a lapdog and a Great Dane and 2 goldfish and 2 cats, and they all like to go on a Sunday drive, this is probably not the truck for you, especially if you want to keep it legal. You can throw them all back in there, kids and all. If the wife gets annoying, maybe throw her in there or whatever. You get annoying, she'll throw you in there or whatever. But no, a rig cab is for the guy who wants a motorized wheelbarrow that really is work focused. Now, you get 2 types of rig cabs. Basically, you get the rig cab long box like this, which when I was growing up as a kid, that's pretty much all you could get, Other trucks did exist, but they were really rare. Everybody went for the farm truck, and this is the classic farm truck kind of look. The second is the short box series, which I believe the only one making a short box right now is Ford. Year's 2021 at the making of this video. Almost all of them, I think, almost all the other ones have gotten a short box rig cab. Let me, state that. Almost all the trucks now are short box. They're like 6.5 foot box, whatever. But the short box rig cab is really more of like the sportsman's kind of like, you're going to go through the bush. You need a, tighter turning wheelbase. It's for somebody who wants a truck instead of a Jeep. And you got a 4x4 short box, which would bring everything in like that. You're going to be able to zip in what they call overground kind of travel, rocks and stuff like that. It's good for that. Maybe you pull a little trailer with a 4-wheeler on it, or maybe you have 4-wheeler on it, but it's basically more that kind of, or the sport truck. Like my cousin, he has a 2015 Ram 1500, with the Hemi in it, obviously, 4x4, but he's a rig cab short box. That truck flies. It is definitely a sport truck. It is not a. It can pull stuff, but it's like this truck. Okay, like if I was to just stomp on that pedal, I might get a little bit of a squawk, but this truck will just linear, like the acceleration will be like this. Where on my cousin's Dodge, or the Dodges in general, I find they're like this. It's like this. What I mean? The power curve is different because of the, there's a difference between a sport truck, a utility truck, an off-road truck, etc., etc. You know what I mean? Like they're going to do different things. So for somebody who gets this type of truck, show you some of the. Obviously, you can see my passenger seat is occupied by tools. Back here, I do have a bit of storage. I'll get more into detail when I clean out the truck, but there's like 2 little storage boxes in there, and you can put quite a bit in here, more than you would think. But that's the thing. It's mainly, the type of truck where you don't have a lot. You got more cab room than you think, but it's not really. This is a place of work. It's not really meant for, long drives on the coast type of thing, although it's awesome driving this truck. Steering wheels on these are awesome. They're just so trucky, but they feel good, But yeah, so obviously space in the cab is going to be your biggest hindrance. It's kind of like a sports car with a little bit more volume and headroom. You know what I mean? In that sense. But what you're really getting these for is for the box, right? But if you're getting the short box, like a short box is really very limited in what you can do with it. Like I say, with a 6.5 foot box, yes, you can get a 4-wheeler on there, but you're going to be up to here. So your 4-wheeler might be hanging over the tailgate. And then plus you got the wheel wells. You can definitely get a full motorcycle in here. Let's say you got a dirt bike, you'd still have room for everything else, But yeah, the rig cab short box, a lot of people, because I guess they're just not selling, even though they look great, but they're, they do have a very limited kind of use to them. And the other thing too is, like this truck has a very long wheelbase, right? So obviously it's a very docile truck. It actually handles better than you would think, but it's a very docile truck to drive. You don't, it's not really dirty at all. Like, I mean, Mind you, my alignment's a bit out, but when the alignments are good on this, you could probably let go of the steering wheel for like 5 minutes and it'll just keep going straight. You know what I mean? And plus, you don't get that dive you get like with the short box trucks, where when you take off, the front end seems to pop up. When you jam on the brakes, the back end seems to do that all the time. This truck doesn't do that. Like it's these long trucks don't do that. So that's kind of one of the things that's obvious about the downsides to a reg cab is basically space. So why buy one? Okay, obviously you want an 8-foot box. You can get a crew cab with an 8-foot box. But like I've said in previous videos, give you an idea, this is not a full crew cab here, but you're looking, that's an extra, what, 1.5 feet, almost 18 inches. On my dad's old F-150, same as this, it was a 2003, cab come up to about here, right? Box there. So at the end of the day, even though you lost out on the box, you gained cab, the truck was still the same size. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, I don't remember who made it. I think it was GMC that made it. The full crew cab with the 10-foot box. There was a guy in my town had one. The truck was literally this long. Where the hell do you park that thing? You know what I mean? Especially if you're in the city, So this is reasonable. It still fits into, any space that'll fit into. It's just a bit wider, really. So one of the advantages of the reg cab is that your truck isn't too super stupid long, right? So, and obviously something nobody realizes until they get into a reg cab, you could drive this truck probably better backwards than you can forwards. The visibility out of this is awesome. Ever since I took off the big cap, which is over there in the jungle somewhere, which, it made it as big as a cube van pretty much. Like I say, you can always see, you could see your corners if you put the tailgate down. It's like you never run into anything with this. These cars, it's kind of like a Ford Taurus kind of front end. It's a bit sloped in the front, so you can see. I know some of the newer trucks are like really squared off and really high, and you can't see down, whatever. But one nice thing about the reg cabs and some of the bigger trucks is they do have a cutaway here, so you can see good. And if you got tow mirrors, even better. But the visibility is just absolutely great, which on a job site, you're backing up to things, you're backing into tight quarters. The reg cab, you will love it because of that. You're never blinded by, what am I going to hit? Like that little extra, it's not that it's that much of a difference, but if you've ever backed it up, like just that little extra, it does hinder your vision a bit. Even though like on my cap that I had windows in it, it really, it was like backing up a minivan, you know what I mean? So visibility, that's one of the main advantages you get. So if you're on a job site and you got to get into a tight area, because typically when you got to load these things up, you got to back up to something. And you don't want to be backing into something. You want to be backing up to something, and it's nice to have that kind of visibility, which you only get from a reg cab. Other things, well, I know this truck's old and you've got a bit of rust there. The pretty side is the other side, but doesn't that look good? That looks good. You wouldn't be surprised. You'd be surprised how many friends this truck makes me. People always want to know about this truck. Oh wow, what year is it? Are you selling it or whatever? I've had a lot of people offer me money for this truck, even though it's old, and it's not prestige. It's just the design, because you don't see a reg cab as much anymore as you used to. Like I say, 30, 40 years ago, that's all you saw. The only thing, it would typically be some sort of a reg cab with a gun rack and a 30-06 or a shotgun sitting, with the windows down in the middle of the city. Nobody cared, back in the day when life was a little simpler. But yeah, no, the looks wise, I love the reg cab. The other thing too is, like I say, you gain with the box. That's the main thing is that you get a long wheelbase without over ridiculous long on the truck. Great visibility, extra wheel barrel capacity, as I call it. So that's who these trucks are for. You know what I mean? They're for work. They're for work. Yeah, you can drive them around for fun, but if you're driving around for fun, you're really thinking sport truck at that point. Maybe the short box would be better for you. Think like a Dodge Rumblebee, which would be a really cool truck to have. I'm just gonna have to wrap this up, but you get the idea of who this truck is for. Really, like I say, work, single guys or a couple with no kids. Day-to-day driver, absolutely, sure, why not? But again, you know, you might, if it's the only vehicle you have, it depends on your you know, your status, you know, like, do you have, you know, children to bring and stuff like that. You know, even if you have one child and a wife, you could probably get away with it, but for how long? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can flip that up and whatever, but you could tell like this wouldn't really be an ideal vehicle for, you know, when you do the groceries and stuff like that. You know, the groceries go in the passenger seat, right? Now you can get tonneau covers and stuff like that, and you know, whatever, but you get the idea. So anyway, just thought I'd make a quick video on that. There we go.